What's up, guys? Andre and Tom here. We just had the chance to interview Suda51 about his new game, Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. So, Tom, do you want to give us a quick preview of what we talked to Suda51 about?
Sure thing. We went over about the gameplay we can expect in Travis Strikes Again, about him reaching out to different indie developers, perhaps what his next project will be after this, and he gave us his thoughts on Travis Touchdown potentially being in Smash Brothers one day.
It's pretty great, so check it out right now.
僕はSuda51, Suda51.
This is Goichi Suda, or Suda51, CEO of Grasshopper Manufacturer, and he is also the director of No More Heroes, and this newest title, Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. So the original No More Heroes was released in Japan in 2007 on the Nintendo Wii, and after that they developed No More Heroes 2, and now, approximately 10 years after the original, they're starting up the No More Heroes series again on the Nintendo Switch with Travis Strikes Again.
So you've been involved with a lot of games since No More Heroes, but I believe this is the first game you've directed since that game. So why now to come back and decide to direct another game again?
そうですね。10年、まさにノーマーヒーロー1が最後のディレクション。
So over the past 10 years, he has been involved in a lot of games. And he's also taken on a lot of positions, like a producer, creative director, stuff like this. There's also been a lot of games he's worked on where he wasn't really sure exactly what his job really was. Just, doing all kinds of things or not really doing a lot at all, And so this time for the latest No More Heroes title, he decided he wanted to kind of go back to Grasshopper's roots, where they had much smaller teams, something a lot closer, like indie style, with like just a bit over 10 people. And be able to, control everything and be director of actually direct the game and have direct input in everything, and make it not just the game, but the development team itself, make it something more compact and just something more, easy to kind of like control everything at once and do everything exactly the way he wanted to do it.
And why on Nintendo Switch? Is there something about the platform that drew you to it?
NX 時代、まず去年ですよね、スイッチが。
Last year, before it was even a Switch, when it was still just called the NX, he had an opportunity to check it out and sort of play with it a bit. And, he checked out the NX and decided, wow, this hardware is amazing. He really liked the things Nintendo was going for with it. For example, the way that there's lots of different ways to play with it. You can literally kind of switch the way you play and everything. And he felt that hardware itself was something that would be kind of like a really good fit for a Travis game. On top of that, it was also a matter of timing as well, in that Let It Die had finally started to calm down a bit, and he just started thinking, okay, it's time to make another game now. So in a way, just the timing was just right. Like this new technology had come out. The last game he worked on had sort of calmed down a bit, and he'd been wanting to do a new Travis title for a while. So once he had the opportunity to actually play with the Switch himself, he decided, okay, this is what I want to do with the next No More Heroes game.
Since the title is Travis Strikes Again, and then it's sort of like a subtitle, No More Heroes, would you consider this a direct sequel to No More Heroes, Desperate Struggle, or is it maybe something a bit new compared to what was before?
まさにそうなんですよ。ノーマーヒーローズ3じゃないんです。
It's not exactly a direct sequel, which is the reason they didn't call it No More Heroes 3. They didn't include a number in it. Yeah. And also the reason that they put Travis Strikes Again as sort of the main title is, while obviously it is part of the No More Heroes series, it's not a direct sequel to 1 and 2. It's sort of, I guess you could say, the beginning of a new adventure for Travis. Right. So it's not, it is, technically sort of a sequel, but not a direct sequel at all. It's something sort of different from the previous games.
And what inspired the concept of Travis going inside a video game system?
そうですね。インスピレーション自体は
The main thing that he got inspiration from for the whole, going inside the game world for Travis this time was the last game that they put out, Let It Die, had a sort of similar concept where there was the game called the Death Drive 128, and then you go inside this game and play like that. He thought about that and decided that he wanted to sort of dig a bit deeper into that concept in that world, And so this time there's a game console in the game called the Death Drive Mark II, which is sort of the predecessor to the Death Drive 128. And it's sort of this really dangerous game console where, again, the player gets sucked into the game and, faces all sorts of dangers and stuff. But, doing that same sort of concept of Let It Die, he figured, okay, this would be a good thing to maybe try and base the game on, and again, to sort of dig a bit deeper, see what I can do with that concept. So that was the main reason he decided to go with the whole, getting sucked into the game, or going inside the game world to play this time.
When you were thinking of that for Let It Die, were you trying VR games at all before that, maybe? Or did that inspire you?
ああ、まあ VR もあるん
He was playing a bit of virtual reality, and that that probably did have a bit of influence on him as well. But there's a David Cronenberg movie, Existence, that he got into that he feels he was inspired by that mainly. In that movie, the movie features like a sort of near future world where you go into like a video game to experience different things. And he saw that, thought it was kind of cool, and he was mainly inspired by that for the original idea.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how the gameplay will work? So we know that Travis will be visiting these different game worlds. Does it play like No More Heroes? Is stages based around those games, or does the gameplay resemble those games in any way? The games that he's visiting.
ああ、まさに後者で、
In one way, it's sort of similar to the original No More Heroes games, where they were sort of basic like sword action games, where the player mainly had fun swinging the sword around, stuff like this. But this time, there's the 6 different games within the game. And while the basic gameplay and controls for each of these games is pretty much the same, it's sort of a different take on the gameplay from the original No More Hero games, where they wanted to keep the original concept with sort of fun, kind of pleasant sword action games, but also each of these games has its own genre and its own sort of like vibe, its own sort of feel. So while the basic controls are going to be the same on the different games within the game, each one is specifically different in the way it looks and feels and plays.
Can you give us any examples of, let's say, we know there's a Shovel Knight level, for instance. Will you see Shovel Knight like actually in the level? Will you like fight alongside Shovel Knight, or just can you give another example of how that specifically might work with the crossover nature of the game?
Okay. まあこの間の
Actually, it's slightly different. For example, Shovel Knight, it's not that there's a Shovel Knight level in the game. The other night at the Nindies event, when he had the Shovel Knight T-shirt and was explaining a bit about how the collaborations are going to work. The collaborations with other indie games aren't necessarily about the levels in the games themselves. They're not exactly about the gameplay itself. But one thing he wanted to show is that Travis, as a character, is like a really hardcore gamer. And as you may have seen in the trailer, at the beginning he's playing Hotline Miami, and he's just about to clear the game when he gets interrupted by Batman and gets really pissed off because he's that's the kind of hardcore gamer he is, and he wants to finish all his games. So one of the things he wanted to do with the collaboration with the indie games is show that Travis is really into these games. So it's not that Travis will be playing these games within the game, but Travis is going to have a bunch of different T-shirts representing different indie games. And Shovel Knight is one of the games that will be featured on Travis's T-shirts in the game.
That's a nice show of support.
そうそう、まあそれも応援してるというか
Yeah, as you said, it's kind of a show of support for these indie games, and also to show that Travis himself is, a fan of these actual specific, existing games. But as far as the gameplay goes, again, it's not that Travis is going to be playing these indie games within the game, but within the game there's a character named Dr. Juvenile, and she's a game creator, and she's the creator of the Death Drive Mark II, the console, as well as the 6 games that exist for the console. And so within the game, Travis and Batman are going to get sucked into the console and sucked into each one of these 6 games and sort of fight their way through these games. And that's pretty much the main concept of gameplay. And yeah, that's how the game's going to work.
もちろんさっき言ってもらった通り
Well, you can't say anything concretely or promise anything yet. Sort of similar to what you mentioned earlier. At this point, there's no concrete plans for anything like this yet, but there may be something somewhere in the future where Travis actually does get involved with these other games. So, for example, Hotline Miami. Suda is pretty close personal friends with Dennis and Jonathan from Dennis Hung Games, the creators of the game. And he's been talking with them a lot about possible collaborations. And Shovel Knight as well. He hasn't had a chance yet to go out and have a bite to eat and have beers with these guys, but he definitely plans on doing that soon. And go out and have dinner, have beers with these guys, and start talking about different possibilities. And it's highly possible that they might start having some really good ideas and say, okay, yeah, we're gonna do some kind of more like concrete collaboration between these games. So while we can't promise it or really go into details about anything yet, there is a definite possibility that there may be some more deeper kind of concrete collaborations between Travis and these other indie games sometime in the future.
And we were just thinking about the second No More Heroes, and sometimes it'd be those 2D games, and maybe it'd get a crossover like that with Travis into the other game worlds, or like little mini games or levels, stuff like that. That's what we're thinking.
そうですね、ノーマーヒーローズ1とか
For No More Heroes 1 and 2, there were a lot of like mini games within the game, and they really had fun doing that kind of thing. But this time, they're working on the game with a much smaller team than the previous No More Hero games. No More Heroes games. So it's not that they can't do it, but it is partly a question of whether or not they have the manpower to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But with the team that they've got going now, it's a team where everyone really wants to try all kinds of new interesting things. Everyone really wants to, basically they just want to try something fun. They want to try a bunch of new stuff. And so there's definitely a possibility of having, again, sort of like mini games within the game and possible collaborations with other games within the game.
Speaking of the indie developers, was it hard to convince them to have like sort of the crossovers with the t-shirts, or they're all fairly willing? And was there anyone that you couldn't get that you wanted?
そしてこの人とコラボしたかったのにしてもらえなかったっていう人いませんでした。
OK。今回、まあ本当パック
For the past 2 days, I've been going around to a lot of people at PAX, talking about possible collaborations, and I don't know, specifically about the Travis collaboration. And luckily at this point, there's been a 100% success rate as far as getting people to get on board the collaboration goes.
まあ一件だけそのボスに聞かないと分かんないんだけど、僕はやりたいって言ってくれたんだけども、翌日すぐメールが来て、ぜひやりたいって言ってもらったので、100%。
There was one game that he talked to one of the guys about, and he said, "Oh, sorry, I'm gonna have to check with the other guys. I'll have to go back to the booth and check, so I'm not sure yet." But he really wanted to collaborate with them. And next morning, right away, got an email saying, "Yep, let's do it." So at this point, it's still 100% success rate.
That's awesome.
いや、本当なんかみんな、キラーセブン、
Luckily, a lot of the people, or most of the people, have played games like Killer 7, No More Heroes, a lot of his previous games. And so luckily they knew who he was and what he was doing. And thanks to those games and their experience with those games, it was pretty easy to get everyone on board, which he's thankful for.
でまあ、昨日ソニーパーティーがあって、まあ、ソニー
Just last night we went to the Sony party for a while, and there's a lot of creators and developers there. But I guess because of I guess you could say industry manners, he sort of held back from talking to anyone about doing the T-shirt collaboration at that party itself because he didn't want to really overstep any lines. So he's making sure to do all those discussions at the PAX. At the event itself.
Yeah.
With the Switch having multiple ways of playing, including having the Joy-Con motion controls, can you tell us a little bit more about the combat in the game, and if it'll use motion controls similar to the first game, or if it'll have perhaps multiple ways of playing depending on how you're playing with the Switch?
そうですね。まあ、今回も
The motion controller will be used in the game, but one of the main features as far as controls goes with the new game is that you're going to be able to play the whole game with just one Joy-Con. And that was something that he decided way early on, and pretty much at the very beginning of the development phase, was, okay, we're going to play this with just one controller, purposely sort of give the player like a limited area of controllers, I'd say.
まあ、ノーマーヒーローズをね、遊んだ
People who have played the original No More Heroes games are probably familiar with the whole, recharging the beam katana thing. And he wanted to make sure to keep that in the game so that, older players could be like, oh, that's the thing from before. And also so that new players could also get to experience the whole beam katana charging motion as well.
まあ、ちょっとサイズがちっちゃくなったんですけどね、どうしてもね。今回
The size has gotten a bit smaller,
もうそれはもうしょうがないなっていうところ。
but that can't really be helped. So, what are you going to do?
まあ、あとは、まあ、
There's another big reason that he decided to make it playable with just one controller, and that is he's really hoping that he'll get an invitation from Smash Brothers to put Travis in the next game. So
That'd be amazing.
as long as you can play with one controller, it should make it a lot easier for them to invite him in. So he's really waiting for that invitation to come sometime.
Speaking of just one controller and that there's sort of two guys sucked into the game console, do you think there might be a chance for co-op?
ジョイコン1個で遊べるっていうことと、タビスとバットマンの2人がゲーム世界に入っていくって考えると、やっぱり協力プレイっていう可能性はあるんですよね。
お、鋭い。まあ、ちょっとまだ内緒なんですけど。まあ、シークレット。
Yeah, it's a really sharp question, but he can't really say anything about that yet.
バレてる感じはするけど、まあ、でもシークレット。
He does get the impression that, people know what's up already anyway, but technically it is still a secret, so he can't really comment on that yet.
We'll wait.
じゃあ待ってますね。
Yeah.
As a game creator, and we had, since you were a director last time, it was a long time even though you worked on games in other capacities. After this game is done, do you have another game that you're already sort of burning to make, or do you think you'll take some time to think about what game you'll make next?
それがもうちょっと時間を置いてゆっくりして。Since he was able to finally bring back the No More Heroes series and bring back especially specifically the character of Travis Touchdown, he wants to make sure that this doesn't just end with this latest title. He wants to sort of foster the series a bit more, and also sort of foster the character of Travis Touchdown into more of like a video game superstar. So, while there's necessarily any concrete ideas right now, he definitely wants to sort of, expand the series, see what he can do with No More Heroes series in general, and the Travis Touchdown character in particular from here on out.
まあ、それこそ本当ノーマーヒーローズ3へ続く道だという僕自身も思ってるので、まあ、ぜひ応援してほしいなと思ってます。
he personally feels that this is exactly the sort of thing that would lead to, No More Heroes 3, the direct sequel. So he'd be really happy if everyone would offer their support.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, thank you so much for meeting with us. We really appreciate being able to talk to you about No More Heroes.